So this one is Catch-22 meets the trial meets Sisyphus. Yeah, who else would it be but Microsoft? Two leading open source figures were inexplicably locked out of their accounts with no warning and no response from Microsoft. Oh, and they just happened to be competing with Microsoft software. Munir Adrassi, the developer of VeraCrypt, which competes directly with BitLocker and does a much better job, posted a statement to SourceForge. I have encountered some challenges, but the most serious one is that Microsoft terminated the account I have used for years to sign Windows drivers and the bootloader. Microsoft did not send me any emails or prior warnings. I have received no explanation for the termination, and their message indicates that no appeal is possible. I have tried to contact Microsoft through various channels, but I have only received automated replies and bots. I was unable to reach a human. This termination impacts my work beyond VeraCrypt and has consequences for my daily job. Currently, I'm out of options. A week later, he told the Register that he was still locked out and hadn't heard anything from Microsoft. The second is Jason Donenfeld, developer of WireGuard, which directly competes with Azure. Responding to Adrassi's post on Hacker News, he wrote, "This is the same problem I'm currently facing with WireGuard. No warning at all, no notification. One day I sign in to publish an update, and yikes, account suspended. Currently undergoing some sort of 60 days appeals process, but who knows? That's kind of crazy. What if there was some critical RCE in WireGuard being exploited in the wild, and I needed to update users immediately? That's just hypothetical, don't freak out. In that case, Microsoft would have my hands entirely tied." He told the Register, quote, "As somebody on Hacker News noted, if someone was a bad actor, right now would be a pretty good time to start exploiting 0 days in WireGuard. I mean, hopefully there aren't 0 days in WireGuard, but if there were, Jiminy Cricket." He said that his saga has been going on for 2 weeks and said, quote, "I got a new super expensive EV code signing certificate. This Microsoft requirement is kind of a racket in its own right. And I was ready to log into the partner portal and submit my signed package and driver to Microsoft for automated inspection, which usually results in a Microsoft signature required for loading drivers into the kernel. And that was when he found out, the hard way, that he'd been locked out. He found the place where he needed to file the appeal, but it requires he be logged into his account. In fact, the only way they got any movement on this at all was the controversy that boiled up online and in the tech media. Microsoft's Pavan Davuluri exed, "We've seen these reports and are actively working to resolve this as quickly as possible. We've reached out to VeraCrypt and have spoken to Jason at WireGuard. They should be back up and running soon." Yeah, but what about all the little guys who have this happen to them but don't get the attention online? His excuse was, quote, "This is all part of our ongoing efforts to help protect customers and the Windows ecosystem. We worked hard to make sure partners understood this was coming, from emails, banners, reminders. Except, the developers never received any such thing. OSR drivers confirmed, quote, "With respect, that's pure nonsense. First, a blog post is not reasonable notice to a finite list of companies, many of whose customers, some in critical situations, depend on their ability to sign drivers. Next, when we logged on in October and saw the banner, found our signing access restricted, we immediately completed the verification process and were once again able to sign drivers. Then, suddenly and with no notice or warning, as we were preparing to release an update for our customers, we discovered we didn't have signing access anymore. All the domain admins in OSR didn't miss the email. It was either never sent, or it never got to our M365 hosted Outlook inboxes. Finally, directing people to a generic support page that asks you to engage with a chatbot is insulting. This problem is way beyond that level. There are multiple, well-known, reputable companies that have been impacted the same way. It's not just us here at OSR. Telling us it's not us, it's you. Yes, all of you. And you. And you. Just doesn't seem too credible, you know? They had been suddenly locked out after over 30 years of reliably signing Windows drivers. Now consider that Microsoft has been working to make it mandatory to log into your Microsoft account to access Windows on your own machine that you paid for. Imagine being locked out of your own machine for 90 days, or maybe even permanently, without even being told why or even that it happened. Oh, you think you're gonna ditch Microsoft forever and go to Linux? Need I remind you who is in charge of all the secure boot certificates? So your favorite Linux distro's developer wakes up one morning to update his certificate, gets locked out, and the certificate expires, leaving all of their users, including you, locked out of your machines. I don't think this is even a question of whether or not this is incompetence rather than malice. At some point, there becomes no difference between the two.